Andra Day and Trevante Rhodes are definitely the best part of this film. I will say, however, Andra Day shines. She really does make this film feel as real as can possibly be and be as true to the history of singer Billie Holiday as possible. So, this is going to be one of the harder films to review and to watch, I think, to a lot of people for 2021. And honestly, I had no idea that this film was even coming out, but it did on Hulu. I know a lot comes out on these streaming services now, but this was definitely a huge surprise. But it was a great one. I loved pretty much everything about this movie that people are hating. So I don't know. We'll see how this review goes. I'd love to see everybody's thoughts and opinions on this film as people start to watch it more and hear more about it. But basically, we're here today to talk about the United States versus Billie Holiday. And so, with that title being said, and it is a long title, it definitely feels like a court case drama that is bigger than the court. And so, with that being said as well, basically, the whole plot kind of puts the spotlight on Billie Holiday, the singer. And Lee Daniels definitely knows how to move the camera uh, in the past of her life and in the current of her life, and shows the time period very well to more fact than fiction, and is basically able to show the truths of her experiences being a drug addict and a famous singer during this time period, and as well as just a normal person who is struggling with addiction and is figuring out her love life in the middle of all things as a FBI investigation is going underway. More so, a racist investigation is going underway, and that is what Ace Slinger's, I think is how you say his name, who is the villain character in this film. That's all his agenda. That's all his own greedy wants and needs that are helming this investigation. And so, with that, we then get into more of the everyday routines of Billie Holiday and what she goes through personally and professionally. Now, personally, I have not heard any of these songs really prior to this film, and I loved a lot of them. I know I won't be able to relate to a lot of them, but I do appreciate them for what the message is, and which carries on into the film, of course. And so, there is a romance that I think really did take its time, just like the songs did, to explore all these time periods in her life where she faced struggle or pain or just trauma, which she does all the way up until the end of the film. And I think the romance, which at first is a bit rocky because we find out that Jimmy Fletcher is an FBI agent. Now, that's not any spoilers, that is just part of the film as a whole. So that is something you need to know going into it. And from there, the relationship continues, and you really do see that it's more of an escape for her to move away from the racism that she puts up with and from the drug addiction that she kind of forces into herself, but she wants to get rid of. It's just very hard, and it's a drug addiction. So it's definitely the greatest escape she has, more so than the other vices that she tries to implement into her daily life. So the song that does spark the investigation, which was all news for me first time watching this movie and really diving into who Billie Holiday was, is the song Strange Fruit. And so this is what starts that investigation from the FBI. And it really does take over her life because it basically ruins her career, and it makes her stronger as an individual. It makes the black community stronger in this time period and continues to throughout the rest of the time people know about this song or are becoming aware of it. And so it's just, it continues to go back and forth between both sides. And this is a film where the bad guys win. They definitely do take charge and they control her. And as well as Billie Holiday continues to keep choosing men or other vices that do take control of her, because that's all she's been accustomed to and used to, even with life being a professional and famous singer. That doesn't escape because of the time period and because of all of these themes that the film does explore, and which Lee Daniels does explore really well. and really heartbreaking as well. That's why it is such a hard movie for people to watch, because of all of these themes, and because a lot of people went through the same thing as well during this time period and still are today. What I also loved is that the film doesn't shy away from any of the violence or nudity that it presents, and so therefore it gives opportunities for Billie Holiday to stand up for herself, even though she's been conditioned not to, and is accustomed from that since her early life, childhood, things like that. And it doesn't shy away. If it shied away, I can see why people would have problems with all the nudity or violence that is shown and the abusive relationships that she endures. But because she stands up and because she knows what she puts herself through, I then feel like it's okay to throw in all of these things at us that we are watching, because for those reasons. It's all her doing, but it's not her fault, at least with the drug aspect of things. Everything else, that's just strictly because that's how the world was at that time. So, of course, as our main focus with Billie Holiday's career, we are also focused on the relationships that she has within the industry and outside of the industry. And even though that draws attention of all different kinds of people and other careers, mainly the FBI being involved, our character Jimmy Fletcher definitely does have to come to terms with the arrest that he made on Billie Holiday, and how that may upset the Black community, and how that may upset the people that he knows. And so he starts to realize that he's making the wrong people that he works with in the FBI happy, and the wrong people are continuing to take advantage of that. And so he starts to step aside from that and wants to work on his non-professional relationship with Billie Holiday. And these moments I loved, the constant contemplating back and forth, not knowing whether or not he was going to go back to his ways of being an FBI agent, or if he was going to try new things as the FBI agent and the power that he has. And then we get to see the real side of him as well, just being a normal human and living his everyday life. Now, in these crowds, there are racist people, and then there's not. And so I feel like the racist people do definitely use the excuse that they like her music to say that they aren't racist, because they're still showing support. But Lee Daniels does a great job to distinguish that and to balance it out, and to really show us, the viewers, that there are these people that are racist that are going there, and that if you are a racist at this time and you're using this as an excuse to say you're not, then that is still wrong. That's still not a way of living that should be normal by any means, and it's still a huge problem today as well, currently in this modern world that we are living in. So I think the film definitely, it works on all the technical aspects that it's trying to, and historical aspects as well, that it's trying to go at and represent. They do. I got chills at the ending of this movie when I read some subtext or text titles. It baffles me that we're still facing these problems today. And the film does a great job adding on to that conversation of racism, and that it's wrong. It's just flat out not good. It should never have been a thing to begin with. But here we are today, and films like these, which I greatly appreciate, and I know doesn't work for everybody storytelling-wise, but you can, at least if you don't like the film, appreciate what the movie is trying to convey and trying to speak its mind about, because they need to. So they have every right to go in any which direction they want. And I think this more personal view and not so happy view is how it has to be. It has to show all these things to make any kind of impact, more so than just in its own genre, and it definitely does. Another thing is that she doesn't spend a lot of time alone, but it does feel like as if she's always being watched, whether on the stage or not on the stage. And she's always, I think, trapped because of that. And so it doesn't give her a lot of room to be herself. And when she is, there's always some type of vice bringing her down, whether it is drugs or alcohol or men. It just shows all the things that she wishes she could get away from, but knows is a part of her life that is definitely hard to let go of. So the only real nitpick that I have with this film is that some of the moments do feel really quick, or they do feel slightly glamorized, but not in a disrespectful way to who Billie Holiday was. But I think definitely having it span over so many years, even though we do start the film in a room with an interview with someone who is potentially and is racist, then it would be a problem if we didn't spend all this time and all these years going over her entire life. But since we do, it kind of just, it worked. It definitely does spend as much time as it needs to, but some scenes again feel less important than others, and some characters feel less important than others. So I've been seeing some complaints with the film as well, because the film is, strangely enough, really low reviewed. And not just, I think critics liked it. I think the fans didn't like it as much, and I don't know why. I'm still, like, it feels long, but I hate complaining about pacing, so I never really do. I think the film showed everything it wanted to show and talked about what it wanted to talk about in its own style. And I think that's all thanks to Lee Daniels and the entire history of what we are watching on screen. I also do love the fact that Jimmy Fletcher and Billie Holiday are always moving, always trying to do something, whether it's for their work or for themselves. That's the one great thing that they have in common that does stick until the end of the film. All of the supporting actors really do try to help Billie Holiday as much as they can, and so does Billie Holiday herself, which I loved seeing both sides of the coin and really just figuring out what happens to her and how she does end up coping, or so that was something I appreciated lots about this film, that many viewers would maybe not be as patient for, or maybe not willing to sit through all the way. Finally, whenever you do hear the song Strange Fruit being sung by Billie Holiday, it definitely does feel the most impactful at its peak, especially with what happens right before, in a very disturbing scene that some people will look away from, but again, needs to be there for the representation of the entire story and history of racism. And I think it does do its best to inform, and it does its best to show the people who haven't heard the song before, like myself, hear it for the first time in a way that I think One Night in Miami did, even though I heard that song in that movie. But it just made such an impactful moment for me as an audience member, and really compliments the film and compliments the singer, because it is their work, it's her work. And so with that being said, that's what it's why we have this film, is because of that song and because of Billie Holiday herself. And without this moment in the film, it just definitely would have felt more flat. It wouldn't feel as much of an impact, but it does feel like an impact all the way through. This is a film I hope people check out more and are more aware of, so I'm going to be talking about it lots on my Letterboxd, and to my friends who maybe have not seen it yet, or just know that it's on Hulu, and that's about it. But I'm going to go ahead and get my score now. This may be a longer review just because of the subject material. I wanted to really let my thoughts sink in, because I did watch it earlier today, actually, like just however many minutes or so before I started this review. How long this review is, that's how many minutes ago before I started this review and finished the movie. So I hope that made sense right there. But if not, here it is for the rating now. I'm going to give the film on Letterboxd 3 stars out of 5, and then my score out of 100, I am going to be giving the film a 65%. This is a film I don't think I would watch again, at least so soon. I will in the future, just for a refresher. But I mean, overall, it's great filmmaking. It's a great team on screen, and it's a great story that is hard to watch at times, but definitely needs to be spoken about more. And again, I got chills at the end of the film that just spoke volumes, and definitely echoed in the back of my mind, and will stay there with me for quite some time. So that being said, the film did its job, and I am very happy with that. Thank you so much, guys, for watching, and I will see you in the next video.